Hi everyone, we're going to start something new in science now. We're going to talk about things that are alive, living things. Now I asked you last week on the Padlet to let me know what you thought it meant if something was alive. How do I know if something is alive? And I got some answers from some people. Some people think that something is alive if it moves. If it is something that God made, then it is something that is alive. If it grows, then it is something that is alive. And if it eats, if it can eat, then it is something that is alive. And I am happy to say that all of you are at least a little bit right. So here goes. The one saying that it can move. So I'm going to put that down as number one. I know something is alive if it can move. Now, I have to qualify this. If it can move on its own. Okay, I'm going to write that down, on its own. Because, for instance, a car can move. It can't move by itself, but it can move. A soccer ball can move, but it can't move on its own, but it can move. So just saying that something can move doesn't necessarily make it alive, because a soccer ball and a car are not alive, okay? But yes, being able to move on its own does tell us part of why it makes something alive, okay? Now, the next idea was that something that God has made. So yes, most things that God has made are alive, but think of things like a rock. God made rocks. God made mountains. God made the moon, but these things are not alive, okay? So some things that God made are alive, but everything that God made is not alive. Okay? Okay, it can grow. Yes, that is part of it. I'm going to put that down as number two. Okay? It grows. So I want you to think of yourself, okay? Because you know that you're alive. Do you grow? Yes, you do. When you're born, you're small. You're a baby. Eventually you grow a little bigger and you become a child, kind of like you guys are right now. You will become teenagers, you will become adults, and you may not keep growing taller, but if you eat too much, you'll be growing this way. And your hair will keep growing, your fingernails will keep growing. All those sorts of things are growing because you are alive, okay? Animals, same thing. A doggy first is a little tiny puppy, grows a little bit bigger, becomes a dog, and then if it's a girl dog, it has puppies, and then the cycle starts all over again. Okay, so if it can grow, it is alive. Now I want you to think about plants, okay, because that's another sort of category of living things. Trees start out very small, even as a seed, and eventually they grow and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they will keep growing until they die. Okay, so they will keep growing. Flowers grow, grass grows. That's why you got to keep cutting it in the summertime. Right now, if you look outside, you'll see the trees, the little buds are starting to grow, the leaves are starting to come back. Okay, that is because the tree is alive. Okay, in the wintertime, the tree doesn't die when it loses all of its leaves. It just kind of goes to sleep for a little while and then it comes back. Okay, so these are all things, this is the way that they grow. So that's a good one. Okay, that it eats. Okay, not necessarily eats, but yes, it takes in nutrients. It eats or drinks. So yourself, obviously, you eat and you drink, okay? That is something that you do to keep your energy up, to keep yourself healthy, to keep yourself alive, okay? Animals, same thing. You got to give them water, you got to give them food, or eventually they will starve to death. Plants, same thing actually. What a plant drinks, obviously, is water, but it also eats. It eats sunlight, believe it or not. Plants take in the energy from the sun through their leaves, and their leaves make the food that the plant needs to survive. That's why in the wintertime, when there is no sun or there's very little sun, it's not warm enough, a lot of the plants die or go to sleep because there isn't enough sunlight for it to manufacture the food that it needs. However, in the summertime, when all these plants start coming back because the sun is out, the leaves are able to make the food that it needs again, and that's why it starts to grow and all the leaves and the trees and the flowers and everything comes back. Okay, so eating and drinking is also correct. Now, there are a few others that weren't mentioned that I'm going to talk to you about now. Okay, so let me see where it is. Ah, it can breathe. Something is alive if it can breathe. Now, you know the traditional breathes. Write this down. You know the traditional how you breathe. We breathe in, we blow it out. So what we are actually breathing in is called oxygen. And what we are breathing out is called carbon dioxide, okay, which is something that we don't need. But luckily, the way God made our world, plants need carbon dioxide to live. They take it in. So they take in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and they actually give off oxygen, which we breathe in. Okay, so it's kind of like a reciprocal, it's kind of like a joint task. What we breathe out, they breathe in, and then what they breathe out, we breathe in. And that is very often why if you go somewhere like a forest or out in the farm country where there's not a lot of pollution, not a lot of cars, the air actually smells different. There's so many trees out there and they're putting out oxygen and putting out oxygen and putting out oxygen. The air seems so much clearer. And if you're listening to the news, you'll notice that a lot of the pollution in our world has actually gone down because so many people are staying at home. And the air is clearing up, the water is clearing up, all those sorts of things, okay? Now, the other with the animals, they breathe just like we do, okay? We breathe in through our lungs and out. Most animals do. Fish breathe in through their gills and breathe back out. They're still breathing. They breathe in the oxygen through the water. So all the animals, all the people, all of the plants that are alive breathe, okay? Even though it's not, plants and flowers don't have lungs like we do or noses, but they still are breathing. They're taking in gases and giving off other gases, okay? So another one is that it can reproduce. So reproduce means that it can make a copy of itself. Hang on a sec, just let me write this down. Reproduce, it can make a copy of itself. So for instance, we are humans. When humans have babies, they are little humans, okay? When doggies have babies, they are little doggies. When kitties have babies, they're little kitties. When snakes have babies, they're baby snakes, etc. Okay? You're making a copy of itself. If you are alive, like a human or an animal, the baby that you have looks like you. Baby doggies don't have birdies, okay? And baby snakes don't have kitties, okay? Whatever you are, that is what you have. Now, you're thinking, well, trees don't make babies and flowers don't make babies, but you know what they do? It's called seeds, okay? When you go to an apple orchard and you pick an apple off of an apple tree and then you eat the apple, inside the apple there are seeds. That's right, there are apple seeds. And if you take those apple seeds and you plant those apple seeds and you take care of them, guess what you're going to grow? An apple tree. So those seeds inside the apple are actually kind of like the babies. And they, if you plant them and take care of them, will grow into an apple tree and it will make a copy of itself. Okay? Flowers, same thing. Flowers give us their seeds. And if we were growing marigolds together, I would show you how. In fact, you know what? I've got some marigolds growing out in my backyard. I'll give you a video when I've got my marigolds out, and I'll show you where the seeds are in the marigold to take part in this whole unit, okay? So yes, flowers give you seeds. You take those seeds, you replant them, and guess what? You get more flowers again, okay? It can reproduce itself through seeds. Okay, that's 5 things. We're not there yet. There's a couple more, okay? So number 6. Not necessarily number 6 because I did the ones you guys talked about first. But number 6, it makes waste. It makes waste. Okay, so when you take in food or drink into your body doesn't need everything in it. So for instance, when you eat chocolate, your body doesn't really have, there's not a lot of nutrients in chocolate that your body needs or wants. So, not to get too graphic with you, but when your body is finished taking everything it needs out of it, the stuff you don't need comes out of your body in a private way in a bathroom. Okay, let's just leave it there. Okay, Animals, same thing. Any of you who have a dog or a cat, you know the cat does the same thing. They eat their food, their body takes what it needs out of the food, and the rest comes out in the litter box or in the backyard or during your walk, and you have to clean it up. Okay, so we'll go there. Now, plants, it's actually kind of the same thing. The waste and the stuff that it doesn't need is in the form of its gases. So it takes in the carbon dioxide in the air and it gives off the oxygen. It gives out the oxygen that it doesn't need. Okay, it sheds its leaves when it doesn't need them. The flowers, when the flowers die, they kind of fall off and drop away and it doesn't need them anymore. So they also get rid of what they don't need. The needles that are dying, they fluff them off. Things come off of them that they don't need. Okay, so they take care of themselves in that way. Okay, so that's 6. All right, number 7. Actually, I'm trying to do these in color order. Number 7. Okay, it reacts to things. It reacts to things. Okay, so think of a soccer ball. Okay, if I take a soccer ball and I put it on the ground and I do nothing to it, what's going to happen? Nothing. The soccer ball is going to sit there. Nothing's going to happen. Okay, so but us, we move around on our own. We react to things. If I see a ball coming at my head, I duck. I move to the side. I put my hands up and I protect myself. I catch the ball, maybe. Okay, I react to things happening. If I take that soccer ball and I put it in the middle of the road and a car starts coming at it, soccer ball's not going to do anything. It's not going to jump out of the way. It's not going to hold its hands up. It's not going to roll away. It's just going to sit there and get hit by the car because the soccer ball is not alive. Okay? Think of a squirrel that's running out in the middle of the road and your mom or dad honk on the horn. What does the squirrel do? And it runs away. It gets out of the way. Okay, same thing. A dog starts barking at the squirrel. What does the squirrel do? It runs away because the squirrel is alive. It reacts to things. Okay, every animal will do this. Okay, if a predator is coming after it, chasing it, it's going to run away. It's going to react to what is going on. If it starts raining, it might go and hide under something. Okay, believe it or not, plants do the same thing. Okay, plants don't necessarily run away when a soccer ball comes at them, but a flower, if you've ever watched a flower, will turn towards sunshine. So I've actually done this experiment in my classroom with my students. If you have a flower in a pot and you put the flower in the window, the flower will turn and open up towards the window, okay, towards where the sun is. Once it's open and it's facing that way, if you actually turn it to face inside, it will very, very slowly, you can't watch it, it's not going to happen. But if you go back, say the next day, the flower will actually have turned around and it's facing the window again because it wants to get the sunshine. Okay, some flowers will open in the daytime and they will close back up at night. Okay, these things happen very, very slowly. You're not really going to see it happening, but these things do happen. Okay, trees, why do you think trees grow upward? Because the sun is up there. They're going towards it. They're reacting to what's going on. When it starts to get really, really cold, what do the trees do? Get rid of all their leaves, get ready to go to sleep for the winter. Okay, these are all things that living things do in reaction to what is happening around them. Okay, they react to things. And the last one is actually very simple. It can die. If something is alive, then it can die. A rock isn't going to die. 5,000 years from now, certain rock might still be sitting there and somebody else will be looking at it and touching it and sitting on it. Okay? Because the rock can't die. It was never alive to start with. But if you are alive or something is alive, then it can die, which means you have to treat it with respect. You have to take care of it. You have to make sure that it is well cared for so it will continue to live. Okay? So here are your 8 things. It can move on its own. It can grow. It eats or drinks. It breathes. It reproduces. It makes waste. It can react to things. and it can die. Okay, I have a chart of these for you. I'm going to post it with this lesson so you can print it off if you want and have it nearby. And your job today is going to be to take a chart that I'm going to give you with numerous things on it, and you're going to do like a little checklist. Can it breathe? Can it move? Can it do this? Can it do that? And then at the end, you're going to decide if that thing is alive or it is not alive. Okay, and then resubmit it back to me. Okay, guys, that was our first lesson. I'll see you again next science time. Ciao!